Welcome back to Master Glass with me, Livio Laro. Today, we're going to make 4 highball cocktails. I'll keep it really quick for you. These drinks are really nice during brunch season, and they're also a little bit victims of those dark ages of the 70s and the 80s of the cocktail scene. However, all 4 of these drinks, when they're made with premium ingredients, which they weren't at the time, and non-synthetic fresh juices, which they weren't at the time, are really good. So let's go ahead and give this a start. The first drink I want to make is called a screwdriver. This drink became popular during World War II in the Persian Gulf, where Americans oil workers were literally putting a little bit of vodka inside of their orange juice. Let's go ahead and make it. So the really nice thing about all 4 of these cocktails is that they are really closely related. So the ingredients are only going to be a few. For this first drink, I'm going to take 2 ounces of vodka. And the ratio, when I used to make these drinks in Italy, the ratio was slightly different. We would use 45 mils, which was 1.5 ounces. But when I came to America, I learned that these predominantly are 2 to 4. So it's 1 part to 2 part, which means 2 ounces, 60 mils of vodka. And to that, we're gonna add 4 ounces, which is 120 mils of fresh orange juice. 1 and 2. Now, depending on the size of the glass, depending on the freshness of your ice, depending on so many other things, it's typically 2 ounces of vodka and then you fill it with OJ. Now that OJ will more than likely be 4 ounces, but you never know. All right, so these American workers taught us a very important lesson, one that many bartenders even fail to remember. It's that these drinks are mixed, right? And they were using a screwdriver at the time because, well, that's all they had available. So a mixed drink, a highball, is always mixed. No, the flow of the soda gun and the vodka isn't gonna miraculously mix it perfectly by itself. You need to mix it yourself. So great story for the screwdriver here. I'm gonna go ahead and garnish this drink with an orange. Since all 4 of these drinks, for convenience of course, are gonna have the same garnish, I'm gonna go ahead and prepare all 4 of them. So I'm just gonna cut a lemon slice right there. I'm gonna scoot this guy out of the way. And another one. And then, just like that, and just like that. Okay, so now I have 4 beautiful oranges, orange half slices, I should say. And there we go. Drink number 1, the screwdriver. All right, let's go ahead and make the next one. By the way, did I just call the orange a lemon? I think I just did that. Anyway, comment below if I did. Okay, the next drink we are going to make is a close relative of this drink. This one is said to have been created sometime in the 1950s by a very popular bartender called Duke Donato Antone, who supposedly made so many other cocktails such as the White Russian, the Rusty Nail, etc., etc. But this one here is called the Harvey Wallbanger. Of course, it is said to have been created after a bartender by the name of Tom Hardy wiped out at a surfing competition, started drinking his vodka OJs or screwdrivers with a little bit of Galliano on top, and either started banging his head against the wall because he drank too many and got drunk, or just because he had wiped out of the competition. However, we have never really found any record of Tom Harvey existing nor competing in any of these competitions. Let's go ahead and make it. Okay. As we said earlier, we have the ratio of 2 to 4. In this case, because we are adding an extra ingredient, the vodka is going to go from 2 ounces to 1.5. So let's do that. Okay. 1.5 ounces of vodka. We're still going to do the 4 ounces of OJ. By now, we know to measure, so let's do that. And finally, we're going to add, let me set that there. And finally, we're going to add a 1/2 ounce of Galliano. And there we go. So when the bottle of Galliano says L'Autentico on the bottom, that is the one you want to use. If you have an old bottle of Galliano, I actually have one here, right? You sometimes would believe that those bottles are the authentic ones. It's the old recipe. It's the way it used to be. The reality is this product has been modified many times in history, and most recently has gone back to the closest recipe that it was when it was born. And the way you can tell also is by the alcohol. 42.3 is what Galliano was and is today. Some of the older bottles will be 35, such as the one I have. And set that aside. We're going to give this a little stir. As we talked about, so important to integrate the vanilla flavors of Galliano in the OJ and the vodka. I know a lot of people call for a float. I find the float to be a little overrated, especially in these drinks. I want to taste my Galliano throughout the performance. And we're gonna go ahead and add a little orange slice right in here. And drink number 2 is done. Okay, so 1950s, the Harvey Wallbanger supposedly was born in California. So Mexico/Texas, we don't really know, but somewhere in that area, responded with a tequila version of this vodka drink called the Freddie Fudpucker. Let's go ahead and make that one. Okay, so in this case, tequila instead of vodka. I should have opened this prior. So we have 1.5 ounces of tequila. And in this case, you can use a reposado. I'm using a Blanco, but definitely 100% agave, right? The reason why this drink didn't taste very good back in the day was predominantly because the tequilas weren't very good. And then the orange juice was terrible. And then the Galliano was a knockoff. How was it supposed to taste good? Oh, and by the way, the ice was terrible too. Okay. So now let's go ahead and add 4 ounces. So I'm gonna now free pour. You've seen how the 2-ounce pour works. Just basically about a finger below the line is where I am going to leave the OJ, just like that. And last but not least, I'm gonna take our bottle of Galliano and once again, 1/2 ounce, just like that. Okay. Little mix. Nice orange slice. And there we go. Okay, so now let's move on to the 4th and last highball we're gonna be talking about today. This one is the Tequila Sunrise. There are 2 versions. It was originally born in Phoenix, Arizona at the Biltmore Hotel. That version had soda water, creme de cassis, but the more popular version was born in California in the 1970s. And it is of course a really great combination of tequila, orange juice, and grenadine. Let's make it. Okay, so for the Tequila Sunrise, again, we're going for that ratio of 2 ounces of alcohol to 4 ounces of non-alcohol. So we're gonna go with 2 ounces of our tequila. These are such great drinks. Like I mentioned earlier, they are just victims of a bad era, but when made properly and made with great ingredients, they're so sessionable, so easy to drink, so refreshing. They're really good for the gatherings and they're really good all year long. Okay, time for some orange juice. So we're gonna put 3.5 in this case, right? Because we need to keep a little room for the grenadine. Just like that. Okay, so at this point, once again, you'll see that floating the grenadine is a thing. Like I said earlier, I like it when the ingredients are well integrated. By the way, I'm using a natural grenadine made by a company called Liquid Alchemist. When your grenadine is bright red, it's probably not authentic grenadine. Grenadine is made with pomegranate and it typically gives more this Burgundian red wine color than the bright red. So my Tequila Sunrise isn't going to be as bright red and orange as you might be accustomed to, but in this case, there's a good reason. So a lot of people will say just float it. You know, you put your spoon upside down and you let the grenadine touch the spoon first, And then it gently makes its way down to create the two colors, right? I personally think that that's really cool, minus the fact that when I put my straw in here and I take a sip of it, I'm gonna drink grenadine at the bottom. Or if I were to sip it, I'm gonna drink the drink on the top with the grenadine on the bottom. It just doesn't work for me. So once it's served, if you want to give this beautiful effect to your guests, you might want to serve it this way, but with a stirring rod or a straw of some sorts so that they can stir it themselves so that the presentation doesn't lack, but the taste of the drink, which is more important, doesn't lack either. Let's give this a little stir just like that. Bring those ingredients up. And like I said, premium grenadine will change the color of this drink, but it'll make it taste so much better, and the taste is more important. All right. Our last little orange slice goes just like that. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. So these highballs are really good drinks. They're very sessionable. They're great for brunch. They're home run cocktails. Again, they've just been made the wrong way for so many years. So if you feature these, you will always please the crowd, and I'm sure you will enjoy. By the way, big announcement, Master Your Glass now has a Patreon, so we will leave the link below so that you can go visit the Patreon account. If you did like this video, please hit like and subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell so that you can be notified when we come up with more videos. And that way you can come back for more expert instruction for everyday consumption.